Yo, AFTV Picks is giving away 5 PS5s. Not 1, not 2, but 5 PS5s. 5! All you got to do to enter is go onto AFTV Picks, answer the simple question, and one of these PS5s could be yours. You can enter by going online. You can even do it old school by sending it in by post. But make sure you get on it right now. We've got 5 of them to give away, so do it right now. You have to be over 18 to enter, but answer that simple question, and one of these 5 could be yours. So enter now. 5!
Hi everybody and welcome to episode 78 of the Talk is Cheap show. Thanks for tapping in, truly appreciate your support. Hope you're all well, healthy and COVID free. Now, as you can see, it's slightly different this week, man. You can see the big man's in the house. We got in the house, Big C, Mr. Curtis Shaw from Curtis Shaw TV. How you saying, bro?
Good to see you, man. Good to be back in the flesh, you know, rather than online.
Live in the building,
Yeah,
at
man.
the AFTV HQ. What do you think of the building, man?
No, it's good, man.
You like it? Yeah?
Yeah, it's good. I think Robbie's done well buying the shot, you know?
Yeah, man. It's a show with a difference today, man. Oh, it's good to see you, though,
Yeah,
man.
man, pleasure.
Obviously, we've been communicating throughout COVID times, but we haven't met up as often as we would like. And for you to be able to come in, man, I appreciate you giving up your time and coming in and today. And we got a great show ahead, man. Got a great show ahead today. We're going to start off by looking back at Arsenal's last game since our last show, which is customary. And then we've got a special treat for you after that. But before we get any further, let's review Arsenal's last game. So it's match day 38, end of a long season, at home to Brighton. Against a backdrop of the fans protesting. Was you at the protest, bro?
Yeah.
You was, right?
There was
okay.
about 8 of us there, I think. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Stan Kroenke was so shook, he actually turned up to the game.
You know what I mean? That man turned up and said, there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
man said, I'm not going to go to all the other games, but when there's a protest, I'm going to come and show them how scared I am. So,
exactly.
Yeah, man. But in terms of the game itself, so... last game of the season, we were 4-4 prior to that, so we want to finish on a good run, you know what I mean? You want to get another win, so that would make it 5-5. And there was also the incentive that if results had gone our way, we'd finish above Tottenham and then qualify for the glamorous inaugural Europa Conference League. So, there was a bit to play for, man. And of course, the fans were back.
Yeah.
So they were excited about that, those who had a ticket. Did you manage to get a ticket for the game?
No, I didn't even try. No, I had better things to do.
I couldn't make it. I was working that day, but I know a few people that got tickets. And they were excited. So in terms of the game itself, we went with a 4-2-3-1 formation of Leno in goal, back four of Chambers holding Gabriel Tierney, Partey and Xhaka in midfield. In front of them, you had Pepe, Odegaard and Smith Rowe. And in front of them, you had the lone wolf, Aubameyang. Okay, so to the game itself, the key moments. First half wasn't really too much to write home about.
You can write that one off, can't you?
Although Arsenal were in the ascendancy, they had the better of things. I think we hit the bar as well, didn't we, through Gabriel? And and then second half, couple of minutes into the second half, we did in the end get a goal. Chambers cross. Finish off well by that man Pepe with his weaker foot, 1-0 to Arsenal. And then on the 60th minute, a lovely floated in ball behind by Martin Odegaard, finished off again by Pepe.
Great finish.
Great finish, and we go on to win the game 2-0.
Yeah.
Just by the way, on Pepe, 16 goals and 5 assists for him this season. Right? Not bad, eh?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
So we get the 5 wins in 5, so it's an impressive end of season run. But we didn't get the results that went our way. Everton lost, which we wanted that to happen. But Tottenham, against everyone's better judgment, they go and get a win at Leicester. So they stopped Leicester from qualifying for the Champions League. And crucially, they stopped us from finish above them and entering into the Europa Conference League. So what was your thoughts on it, bro? In terms of the game itself and how that final day panned out, what was your thoughts?
I think no pressure FC, strike again, another win. But Pepe was, you just see glimpses of him and you think, if we manage this guy properly, I think we've got a serious player on our hands. Play him, give him a right back that works with him, get him higher up the pitch. And you just said them stats in such a bad season where he's been rested a lot as well. Imagine what he could get. So very happy with Pepe. Good to win the game. No Europa Conference League, which I don't mind. From a purely selfish point of view, as a content creator, you know, I was thinking, well, if we end up in the Conference League, you know, I'll do a vlog in Faroe Islands or Gibraltar or something. But in terms of the competition itself, it's a joke. You know, Arsenal, I still consider Arsenal a prestigious club. And I don't think you don't want to be in that kind of company. So leave Tottenham to go. And, you know, I heard they're playing games on top of hills, and you know, you got to put your
Thursday nights at 9 o'clock.
Thursday night, you know what I mean. We'll watch EastEnders this year. Relax. Let Mikel get on the training ground. So disappointing not to finish above Tottenham, but we've both been so bad. It's no real bragging rights, is it?
Yeah.
You know?
No, you're right. I've got friends that are Tottenham fans, and it was noticeable that after the game at the weekend, no one was ringing me up and saying, yeah, we finished above you, because they know, and I know deep down as well, that, listen, it's all right saying you finished above a certain team, but when you're talking about 7th and 8th place,
it's nothing
there's
to
no
talk
real
about.
bragging rights. There's nothing to, write home about. And so, so it transpired. So we finished 8th, 61 points, won 18, lost 13, drawn 7. So your overall feeling, I would imagine, is one of disappointment, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I've been very, how can
scathing.
I put? Yeah, scathing. I've let the whole clip out at Arteta this season, but I'm going to try and be a bit more positive today.
Okay.
I'm going to look at it like this, right? I think everyone knows my feelings on it, right?
I think we kind of gathered.
You've got that impression. And before I actually big him up, I've got one
big
more.
Him up?
I've got one more before I big him up. Like I said, Antonio Conte is out of work. Right. Sorry, Mikel. I am going to big you up after this, but
I think
a lot of people will be saying Conte wouldn't come to Arsenal, and I get it. On the outset, it doesn't look like he would. But I would be having a conversation with him if I was Josh. All I would say is, would you consider it? What would it take? How much would you need? It's unlikely, very unlikely. But to me, Conte, I would put him in the top 5 managers in world football. When someone that, mate, he's gone to Italy. Juventus have won 8 titles in a row. Yeah. He's gone there and won the title. Scored 89 goals. He went to Chelsea, first year, they'd finished 10th. He wins the title and then wins the FA Cup. Unbelievable manager for me. And I would be asking the question, but it's Arsenal. It's not going to happen.
But you know what the viewers are going to say, don't they? They're going to say that this man Curtis.
This
was the same man.
You wanted Mourinho, you did, right?
I can see the comment section.
I can already see it.
Already.
Why should I listen to you? You wanted Jose. Listen, I mean, there are rumours Jose could be signing Granit Xhaka as Roma manager. So, you know, if I didn't rate Jose before, mate, if you buy Granit Xhaka off us, you're the messiah in my eyes. But no, listen, in all seriousness, back to Mikel Arteta. I think he's going to be here next season. So whether I want him there or not, or anyone does, he's going to be here. He's improved since Christmas. Now, we know the season starts in August. It don't start when Santa Claus arrives.
It doesn't start after we get knocked out of the Europa League.
Yeah, it doesn't start after Emery knocks us out and we go and win 5 in a row. But at least we have seen building blocks in the sense that you've had a good half a season, you finished the season well, and if the recruitment is right in the summer and he can put his stamp on this team, I've just got to hope that we can produce something next season over the whole course of the season. I have to admit at the moment I'm very down about Arsenal because I don't often finish a season and not look forward to the next one. In my head I'm already going, yeah, but what are we going to do next season? But we've just got to hope that we're on the right track. Pepe's finished well. You got Saliba to come back. Let's just hope next season and with the transfers.
But listen, so that finish that you spoke about, that you alluded to, 5 wins in 5. I mean, listen, man, whatever you want to say about what went on before, if you can get 5 in 5 in the Premier League, that has to be respected. So I would classify that as green shoots of recovery.
Green shoots,
so are you not a little bit enthused going into next season off the back of that?
I think my problem is, and
or
listen,
do you consider it too little, too late?
Oh, it's definitely too little, too late. Football, elite sport is judged off what you do under pressure. It's not about what you do when the league's gone, you're out of Europe, and you're beating teams that, you know, half of them are probably on the beach already. You know, it's about what, you know, that Villarreal performance. You know?
mean, there were times in that game on last Sunday, when Brighton definitely looked like they brought the beach with them.
Yeah,
they took the beach from Brighton,
Pebble Beach,
yeah,
you know?
to get up to London.
Yeah, man.
But you know what? I mean, we can't hate on it, man. 5 in 5 is a good.
It's a good way to finish the season.
But hold your guns, because we're going to come to Arteta a little bit later in the show. So listen, people. So what I thought we'd do, the season's done now, and you know we've been, you know, getting upset and emotional and all that throughout the season. What I thought is that end of season, time for a bit of fun, a bit of light-hearted touch. And so I thought we would do our inaugural TLC, Talk is Cheap. TLC? TIC.
TLC, yeah. No, I tell you what, there's a lot of scrubs in this team. I don't want no scrubs. There's some scrubs in this team.
The inaugural Talk is Cheap end of season awards, as presented by myself and my man Big C in house here. So what we're going to do, I've created a number of categories, and I'm going to refer to Curtis and ask him to give his decision on who should get the award. And I'm also going to chime in as well. Yeah. And I think I've listed here about 13, 14. So, you know, I mean, time's running. So without any further ado, the first one, player of the season. Who's your player of the season for us?
Bukayo Saka.
Yep.
All day long. I actually think he fell off a little bit at the end of the season, but I think he was burnt out. But I can't forget the amount of performances when we were under pressure, when we were in that bad run. His level stayed high. In fact, I actually think he embarrassed some of the more experienced players, because if I'm a 28, 29-year-old pro and I'm seeing some 19, 20-year-old come in and shine like that and carry the team at times, I'd be a little bit embarrassed. But I think Saka's been a credit. He's in the England squad, and I think he's one of the shining lights of this season. Agreed.
I absolutely agree with that. Saka, I mean, player of the season, Saka was the first name that popped into my head. There were a few honourable mentions, though. Your Smith Rowe.
Smith Rowe, yeah. Very good.
I thought he was outstanding this season. But Saka, in terms of consistency, I would have him. Worst player of the season. I think there's a few.
A lot in this category, isn't there?
Now, this is one of those categories that a few came to mind. And I think that kind of tells you what kind of season we had, the fact that so many people could have won this award. But there was one player for me that kind of stood out above everybody else. And listen, you have to understand, people, this is not a hating thing. We're having a bit of fun, but we're also trying to be honest as well. So, you know what I mean? So, Curtis, my man, worst player of the season for you, for Arsenal?
He's Brazilian. He's got an afro. I think he's probably still got a Chelsea shirt on underneath his Arsenal shirt. And 1 goal in 37 games. I mean, I think you'd get more than 1 goal in 37 games, Laurie.
I think I might.
You might get a couple of tap-ins at the back post. And then to make matters worse, he comes out and says, I actually want to go back to Chelsea. So...
although I think that must be tongue-in-cheek. Sure.
I don't know if it is.
I don't think Thomas Tuchel will be like picking up the phone.
Oh no, he ain't gonna. He'll be playing for their reserve team at best. But yeah, Willian, disastrous signing.
I've got to pull you up on that though.
Go on, I'm ready for it. I'm ready, man. That's why I turned up in the old kit, man. I knew you was coming with the smoke.
Because those of us who contribute to the show and those who watch the show will remember at the start of the season gone. There was a certain person on this show advocating for that move.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, are you sure? I mean, like, Willian, okay, you'd had a half-decent season for Chelsea prior. I didn't think that was going to be a particularly good move for Arsenal, and you, of all people, convinced me otherwise.
That was a bad one, wasn't it?
But yeah, man, for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out for you. You know, and it's funny because if you remember way back to the opening game of the season against Fulham,
played well.
He played very well, and I don't think we thought he'd scored at the time. I think he got chalked off and given to somebody else.
2 assists.
But he got 2 assists, and everybody was saying, you know what, this could be the start of something exciting, you know what I mean?
Do you know what, just quickly in my defence, right, just quickly, definitely been a disaster. The season before at Chelsea, he got 9 goals, 7 assists. I remember when we were at Box Park for the FA Cup final, and the Chelsea team came out and Willian wasn't in the squad. And I actually remember people that day saying, yes, Willian's not playing.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's how well he'd been playing for Chelsea,
right,
because he kept crossing it in, Giroud was scoring. To me at that time, I thought, Willian, he's had a good season. On a free, experienced winger, can help some of our younger players. My problem with that deal was always, you can't give him 3 years. He's 32. If you give him a year and he has a bad year, you let him go. But we went over the top and gave him 3 years. But listen, I'll man's up. He's been absolutely shocking. And do you know what? At least I've never had the pleasure or displeasure of having to watch him play in the flesh as an Arsenal player. So by the time we go back, he'll be gone, hopefully. So yeah.
It's a classic one of those where it's that when a guy is aging and he has that one last good season, and so you're tempted to take a player because off the back of what he's done in the past. What happened with Willian this season proves that you shouldn't always just jump at it, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely Willian. I'm pretty sure most of the people out there will say that as well. By contrast, most improved player. Now we've had our best player of the season, but this one is the most improved player. And I'll tell you, I went for Emile Smith-Rowe. You could have made a case for Saka, but then Saka had the season before where he'd done big things as well. So, what do you say, man? Most improved player?
I would probably go with Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah, I think that's.
I would go with Pepe because I think where Pepe was at the start of the season. In fact, when Pepe got sent off at Leeds, we've done shows and we were saying, is that the end for him?
Yeah, I remember.
We were thinking, we did a show. Is that the end for Pepe? I think was the title. I look at him now and I'm going, we're going into next season. He's by far one of our best players. And I think we're all excited to see what happens with him. So I think where he was in that Leeds game and where he's finished the season, I think he's took massive strides. So
no, I wouldn't disagree with you there. I mean, I would go for Smith-Rowe because of the circumstances in which he came into the team. Hadn't had any first team football, made an immediate impression and just kicked on from there really. And towards the end of the season became one of our most relied upon and trusted players. But I wouldn't have an argument with Pepe. You know I'm Team Pepe anyway. But yeah. By contrast, the player that's regressed the most this season, I think there's only one candidate for me.
There's only one, isn't there? The skipper.
It is, man. Aubameyang. Aubameyang blood clot. Yeah.
I don't even think we can say that right now. I don't think he's justified that right now.
Maybe it's because Troops went, isn't it?
Yeah, Troops went and his form's just gone.
Yeah. Is there a coincidence in that, I wonder? But yeah, man, listen, man. And to be fair, there are some mitigating circumstances of Aubameyang. We're not trying to throw shade on him. It's just the truth. He's regressed. But then there's been mitigating circumstances. We know his mum was seriously ill at one point. We know he's had the malaria, and that's quite a debilitating illness by all accounts. And then his form has been capricious, man, up and down. And then you're thrown in the weight of expectation with the captaincy and the signing on fee and all the rest of it. So he even had some problems when he went abroad with Gabon, didn't he?
Yeah, when they were sleeping on the floor in the airport.
So all in all, man, it's been a season horrible-ish, what's the word? But a horrible season for Aubameyang. I still rate him as a player. I want to make that very clear. I'm still Team Aubameyang. I still think he's our best player. It's just that he's had a horrible season, especially by the high standards he sets. And I'm pretty confident that it will bounce back next season. But as far as this season goes, it's been a bit of a disaster.
I think with me, the biggest thing with Aubameyang, I just hope that it was all them circumstances, plus Arteta and the way he used him. I hope that's what caused the problem rather than he's actually, you know, dipped as he's got to in his 30s. You know, I hope that's just form rather than permanently the level he's at. But I think next season we'll see more of him.
Yeah, I think, listen, man, he is one of those players that he's not got no international commitments as far as I know.
Not really.
So he'll be able to go away, reflect, come back to training with that big smile on his face.
Yeah.
Get stuck in, and I guarantee you, man, that it will be 20 plus goals next season.
They'll be clipping that, by the way. You know,
I
if he gets 12 goals, mate, you're gonna.
Yeah, man. So listen, if I'm being honest, I've got to keep it 100, man. We pride ourselves on this show as being consistent and keeping it 100. And if we're going to have a title saying the player that's regressed the most, when you consider the standard he set last season to this season, then it's got to be about that. But he'll be back, man. He'll be back. Yeah. Right, most exciting player. For me, there's only one.
I agree with you on that. It's Pepe again.
Pepe, man, all day.
There aren't many players I look at Arsenal and I think like, yo, when he's good, you would pay to go and watch him play. He's just, even though I find him frustrating as well at times, he's got that bit of magic.
Yes.
And I've noticed, and I said this to you, towards the end of the season, when he's been playing, I've noticed the opposition are doubling up on him.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's an indication when teams are scared of you. And that is a massive compliment to him.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so excited to see him next season. I think we're really going to see him turn up next year.
I mean, listen, you made a very good point there when you talked about at times he can be frustrating, and I get that. But then you find that a lot of very skilled players, mercurial players, they do tend to be a bit frustrating because they can't always produce just by nature, unless you're someone like Ronaldo or Messi or people like that. It's very hard to produce week in, week out. But you can see when this guy's on form, when you watch him, some of the things he does, some of the goals he scores, no one else in the team, with the possible exception of Aubameyang's doing that. And we're seeing him score some. He very rarely gets a tap in, does he?
No, he scores good goals.
You know what I mean? He's always, you know what I mean, cutting in, beating two-man, curling in the top corner, or there's some sublime finish, you know what I mean? So I rate him, man. He's talented. What I would say about Pepe is that I do think the manager needs to treat him with some love and show him some confidence.
100%.
Because I think at times this season, I've been quite bewildered by the way he's been treated. There's been times this season when he's had man-of-the-match performances, and you think, right, that's it. He's going to have a little run in the team, and then inexplicably he's been dropped from the starting 11, isn't it? And me and you've been ringing each other up. You said, "Well, have you seen the team? He's dropped Pepe." And we're like, "What?" I
do think Pepe has earned his trust towards the end of the season.
I hope so.
I think he's put himself in a position where you've got to play him.
Yeah.
You know. So.
And I was saying to you the other day, didn't I, that recently every time Pepe scored, he sort of run over to the camera and done these little finger wagging things. And some people have said, "Oh, come on, man, you're celebrating when the season's done. It's a bit over the top." But I think that there might be a little coded message in.
Maybe he's saying, "Arteta, man, you better listen to
man,
me, bro."
You know what I mean? Next season, man, I want to be starting every game. Yeah. And like you said earlier as well, man, to watch this guy play, he's one of the few players in the team that you can genuinely get off your seat at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We have got a few actually, but he's definitely one of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right, player with the most potential. One of our young guys that you think, man, this guy is going to be a future star. I think there's a couple of names that come to.
Yeah, there's a few that spring to mind. But I'm still going to go with Martinelli.
Yeah, he's in the shake-up.
He hasn't had a great season this year.
He's another one that seems not to have been trusted much by the manager at times.
Injured a lot at the start, but then he seems to have been fit for half a season and the manager still won't pick him. But I just think he can become a superstar if he's managed right. I think he needs to tidy up parts of his game.
Yeah.
I still think he's a little bit, loose with the ball at times. I think he can become a striker eventually. I see him playing through the middle. He's got that low centre of gravity, a bit like Alexis had. Although I don't put him on that level, of course, yet. Yeah. But this season, again, coming up needs to be a big one for him because he looks to me like he's getting frustrated at the lack of game time. So, I still think Martinelli is a top young player.
Right. Listen, man, if you're going to say Martinelli, I wouldn't argue that. Personally, I would have gone for a joint winner of this award between Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka.
Yeah, understandable with the season.
Because those two guys have really come on this season.
Yeah.
And they've really shown themselves to be quality. And as you alluded to earlier, Saka has broken into the England team, possibly about to represent this country at the Euros. That's an amazing achievement for somebody so young. And his ceiling has not been reached yet, has it?
No,
not by a long way.
nowhere near.
So, and Smith Rowe as well, he's been very impressive. I mean, there was talk of him maybe gate crashing in the
England squad, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would have gone for a joint award of those two. But if you're going for Martinelli, hey man, I ain't got a problem with that. And I'm sure the viewers, some of you out there will agree with Curtis on that one. Right, this one will be an interesting one. The player that you'd most like to see sold this season.
Players that I'd most like to see sold.
There could have been players, there could have been several players, but if you had to see one guy go out the door this season, who would it be for you?
Hecky B. Yeah. Take your trees.
Take your trees, mate.
Take your trees. Take your sarong. Yeah. No, listen.
Take your moustache and your tight shorts.
Do you know what it is? I just think that's a position that we desperately need to upgrade.
Absolutely.
One thing I'll say with Hector Bellerin, he's always been very committed to Arsenal. You know,
committed to Arsenal or committed to himself?
Well, you know, they say he had opportunities to leave in the past. He's been at the club for a long time, since a youngster. I just think it's ran its course for me. I think we desperately need an upgrade at right back. So, like I said, there would be others who would be following him, but if we've got to name one, I'll say Hector Bellerin.
Definitely Bellerin for me. I mean, listen, and take away my obvious bias, because people who watch the show regularly will know that I don't rate the guy at all, and I never have done.
I've never really got that impression. I don't know what, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan. But you know what I would say is that, listen, I do throw shade on him, but he's got a decent name out there, isn't he? He's got a half-decent reputation. And I actually think the move is mutually beneficial.
I think so.
It's beneficial for him as well. I mean, he goes to France. I mean, as you were saying a few weeks ago, there's plenty of catwalks out there, you know what I mean? And he can engage with the green agenda out there and all the rest of it. If he goes to PSG, which is what people think is where he'll end up, that's a high-profile club.
Great move for him.
Great move. They'll be in the shake-up to win honours. He will get regular European Champions League football, and he'll be in the limelight. And I'm sure he'll get regular football. So, and then for Arsenal, presumably we'll get a decent amount of money for him. And like you said, that position is one that I've earmarked, and you have earmarked as well, as one that we need to improve.
Definitely.
So, yeah, man. Bye. See you later, mate. I hope it works out for you, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Most underrated player?
Most underrated player? It's a good question. Do you know what? I've got a couple in my head. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Pepe as well.
Yeah, I've gone for Pepe.
Because I don't.
Man, scooping up the awards.
Yeah, I don't think Pepe gets the ratings, and when you look at the numbers and the circumstances of not playing, he's played with how many different right backs this year? Bellerin, Chambers, Cedric. You've played him left wing, right wing. You've dropped him for the biggest games. I've never heard him moan. I've never heard him say anything in the press. He's just got on with it, produced the numbers, he's finished the season smiling, and man said, yo, salute Mikel Arteta, Sergeant Arteta. So, no, I'm going to go for Pepe. I think he is underrated.
Yeah, man, I think so as well. It's funny because when he came to the club, there was obviously that expectation, the big transfer fee, and we saw the highlight reels of him at Lille, skilling up, man, and tucking it away in the top or bottom corner. You're thinking, yo, man. But obviously he had that slow start, and then it was like over the months after that, people were looking at him thinking, yeah, man, this guy's a bust. He's a dud. But he's picked his form up, man. And I don't know what he's been doing privately, man, but it seems to have worked. Yeah. And as of this moment in time, like I said, he's our best player without any shadow of a doubt.
He's finished it, definitely.
So listen, man, we sincerely hope he can continue that form into the next season. But in terms of where he was, he sort of come from nowhere really with this form, and I think that deserves merit. Yeah. Definitely. So so yeah, Pepe for me. Most overrated player. Now this was an interesting one. I had to think a little long and hard about this one, but I did manage to come up with a name in the end. I wonder if you agree with me.
I've seen who you've put. I've gone with someone different.
Right, that's interesting. Right, I'll go first.
Go on.
I'm going for Danny Ceballos, man, as our most overrated player. And it's not because I don't think he's a good player, because he's clearly a very talented player. I mean, I told a story on this show. Me and you was at the Burnley game, wasn't it? Remember?
Yeah.
When he blew up the spot and everybody was saying, yeah, I've just seen the new Santi. Unfortunately, that's not really materialised, and there's been some real poor performances from him this season. Yeah. Notably in the first leg of the Villarreal game when he had an absolute shocker. And he's never really sustained any decent amount of form, has he? He's kind of flattered to deceive, and he's some of his decision making on the pitch, some of the reckless tackles he's made, he's got sent off. Got silly bookings, giving away silly free kicks that have led to goals against us. And I just don't think over the season, man, that he's done enough. And then, you know, there was the links with going back to Spain that he'd spoken of a few times that didn't endear himself to some of the fan base. And let's be honest, man, towards the end of his time at Arsenal, pretty much everyone's like, no, we need to let him go. Yeah, for me, it's got to be Ceballos. What about you, bro?
See, I'm going with someone different. The only reason is because how highly do the fans rate Ceballos? You know, that's what I was thinking.
Judging on that, when he first came and
after
he had
the
that
first
worldie
game
against Burnley, and like I said, went over by Robbie and people at the fan cams. I mean, people who know more about football than me were saying, listen, man, this guy's the next big thing. He looks like the new Santi. And I remember me and you looking at each other, go, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, all things being considered, it's not worked out for him.
It's not worked out.
Yeah.
I'm going for Rob Holding.
Really? Overrated?
Yeah, I think he's overrated. And I tell you why.
I'd say Holding's underrated.
No, not for me. Let me explain why. Let me explain why. Number one, remember, we used to have that song about Rob Holding. Better than Cannavaro and all that, yeah? So,
yeah, that was a bit tongue-in-cheek.
Well, yeah. He gets a new 4-year contract. Right, this season. He's played over 20 games this season, and for me, I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough. He's been at the club for a long time.
Yes.
He nearly went to Newcastle on loan at the start of the season. We kept him because of injuries, and to me, Rob Holding is. I look at him and I think that is the reason why we are where we are, because players like Rob Holding. No, I'm being serious here. I think players like Rob Holding, who we've kept around the football club for a long time with no real pressure, you know, you can stay here, we'll give you a new deal. I think those players are the reason why we are a mid-table football club, because people say, oh, Rob Holding's a decent squad player, but we're not using him as a squad player. Squad players don't play that often. Rob Holding's a regular starter at Arsenal. He got a new 4-year contract. He was captain against Villarreal. So when I say overrated...
But don't you think that's to his credit, though?
No, because I don't think he should be the captain. When I say overrated, I'm not necessarily saying the fans rave about him, but clearly within that club he's rated. You know, the manager gave him a contract, made him captain, picks him on a regular basis. To me, he's an average defender. I looked at Brighton the other day. Their defence. Remember, they're 5th from bottom. And I said, I'm not sure if Rob Holding gets in their defence. They got Lewis Dunk and Ben White. I think he's overrated. I think he's lucky to still be at Arsenal.
You know what? Some people would say he's lucky to be at Arsenal. In fact, some people say the only reason he's at Arsenal is because he looks like Dennis Bergkamp. Right?
He don't play like Dennis Bergkamp, does he?
No, but you know why I've got a little bit of empathy for the likes of Rob Holding and Callum Chambers, I would include in this bracket as well, and Mohamed El Neni. Guys like this, they're not what I would call quality players, but they're what I call clubmen. Team men, and you do need guys like that. And when I say that, I'm not saying it's not a backhanded diss or whatever. I'm saying that you do need guys, man, that will, you know what I mean, play for the badge, as it were. Guys that you can rely on to do a job. They're not the most talented players, but they'll give everything for the shirt. And I see him as that. And I see him as a guy that's actually improved his game. I mean, you look at the central defenders that we've got this season: David Luiz, Mari, Gabriel, Rob Holding. he's the least talented of those guys, isn't he? And he's probably played the most games. So to me, that tells you that the manager, he's kind of impressed the manager. Maybe he's done it in training. Maybe it's his attitude on the pitch or off the pitch. Maybe both. And he's seen a guy and think, you know what, he's not the most talented, but I can trust this guy. And the fact that he's made him the captain, that kind of cements what I'm saying. So I actually had him as one of my most improved players.
Oh, most improved.
So the fact that you got him as your most overrated player.
Get him out. I can still remember Jack Grealish just making him spin round. Like, remember the Tasmanian Devil when he was younger, just used to spin? I remember Grealish doing that.
No, but to be fair, I think that day, Jack Grealish did that to pretty much everyone in the team.
He did to Bellerin and everyone.
Absolutely destroyed us that day.
But yeah, hold him for me. Bang average.
Viewers, let us know what you think about that one.
Let us know.
Right, okay, we've got a few more, so bear with us. Moment of the season. Or performance of the season.
Moment of the season was...
There's not been that many.
No, there really hasn't.
There's two that stand out for me, I think.
Do you know what? I think my moment of the season was the late equaliser against Benfica. When I think back to the moment that I celebrated the most, it was that one. Saka, 88th minute, whips it in Aubameyang. I was going crazy. A lot of the league games. No, I'll go with that one. I think that was the best moment. I thought we were winning it at that point.
You thought we were,
I thought,
With me, there's two that kind of stand out. There's the 3-0 win against Chelsea. Which ultimately led to the demise of Frank Lampard. Sorry, 3-1.
Arteta broke Lampard, they said.
Because if you remember in the lead up to that game, I'll never forget it. It was around it was Christmas time, Boxing Day. And going into that game, we was indifferent. And Chelsea were looking good. And, you know what I mean, it looked like they were about to slap us up. And I think they rocked up at the Emirates. And I remember saying to you at the time, man, in the warm-up, I saw Chilwell and one or two others laughing and goofing around. I thought, these men think it's going to be easy work. In the end, the reverse was true. And actually, that was the game that led to Lampard's demise, wasn't it? Because I think he got sacked a few games after that. So, yeah, that game stands up for me. And when we went away to Leicester and beat them,
that was a good win.
That was a very good win, a very convincing performance against what was at that time a very good team as well. So, those two moments. Worst moment of the season, again.
This is easy, and we all know what this is. Villarreal at home.
The very nadir of the season.
Unai.
Yeah, man, that was shocking.
That was so...
Actually, you could say, which one was worse, the first game or the second?
I think the second, because even though the first one, the performance was horrendous, at least we had that hope of the second leg. Once the second leg's over, you're done, you're out the competition. At least the first leg, I was like, right, we got away with 2-1. We're going back to the home ground. Aubameyang's back fit. I genuinely thought we were going to beat them at home. And having watched that game, I still don't know how we didn't trouble them at all.
Awful.
You know?
Absolutely awful. But then as we've seen, Villarreal, I mean, under Unai Emery, I don't know, it's the way he manages that team. They do manage to kind of drag you down to their level. And I know that's a bit of a backhanded compliment, but I saw that we're watching the Europa League Cup final against Man United. They did exactly the same thing to Man United. Nullified them, stopped them from playing, got the goal, and just squeezed them, you know, and made them look ordinary. And that's exactly what they did to us over 2 legs. But I think round about that period, at that time of the year, we were playing some pretty poor games. Because we were fortunate against Benfica, weren't we, in a way? And then even when we played Olympiacos, that was poor as well. Scraped over the line in that tie. Actually got beaten at home by them. I remember after the game at home, Socrates, who's played for them, sort of laughing and joking with Aubameyang after the game. He was saying, "Oh, you lot got a bit lucky there." That's what he seemed to be saying, and we did. So yeah, man. So I agree with you. Those Europa League performances, particularly the second one, was a very nadir of a, let's face it, a disappointing season. Right, okay, time's moving on. Team, marks out of 10 for the season.
8th in the league. I mean, what can I give him? 4, 5? It's been dreadful.
Yeah.
It's been dreadful.
Yeah.
As I said,
I was tempted to go for a 4, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I think we've underachieved. Listen, you know, there are some good teams in the Premier League, obviously, and it was a difficult season with the COVID and all the rest of it, no fans, and, you know, I mean, some of the results were capricious, and, you know, there's some kind of weird results and weird performances and weird conditions. I get that. But even so, if you look at our squad, you look at the players, we should not be finishing any less than 6, I thought, and I just thought that overall it was a very disappointing season.
Yeah.
And even the way we went out some of the cups, I mean, that defeat to Southampton I was close to naming that as one of the worst moments of the season.
When you're the holders, you expect more than that.
Yeah, so we just we limped out of that tournament.
Yeah.
And it was quite disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going for 5, but I think they scraped that for me.
Yeah.
Because 5 makes it look like it was an average season or something,
Yeah.
which it wasn't. It was a below par season, even though we did pick up a little bit at the end with the 5 wins in 5. But so what are you saying? 4, 5?
Yeah, I'll give them a 5. I suppose half the season they improved a bit, but that's being kind.
Okay, and the manager, Mark. This should be interesting from Curtis' perspective. We know he's a big fan. Mark's out of 10 for Mikel Arteta.
Mikel Arteta, you've took us out of Europe for the first time in 25 years. You've lost 13 games. You've
gone out of the cups limply.
Gone out of the
FA
Cup.
And I mean all the cups limply.
You know what I mean? I'm giving him 3. I give him 3.
I'm giving him a 5, but that's probably because he finished quite strongly. And, you know, okay, you can say no pressure FC and all the rest of it, but wins are wins, I guess. And he did finish 8th, which is what we finished last season. So I guess you have to be fair to the guy and say that, listen, you know, at the end of the day, it was a disappointing season, but it could have been worse, could it? I don't know. But
giving him a 3, man, I think. Yeah, because at least this year...
I'm trying to be nice to him.
I know you are. He had the full season. Last year, he coming halfway through, he can say, but this year, you've had all year and finished 8th. For me, he's had a shocking season. Some of the decisions, Smith Rowe up front at Villarreal, I mean, come on.
What was
ridiculous.
He doing? Yeah. I'll tell you what he was doing. He was trying to follow his man.
Trying to be Pep.
Wasn't it? And we saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
But I have to, you know, I've given him the 5 and I've said there's green shoots, but I also have to be honest and say that he can consider himself very fortunate that he's still in a job.
Yeah, very fortunate.
And it was noticeable that he was making some rather supportive remarks of Stan Kroenke and the rest of them, and I consider that a kind of quid pro quo. He kind of comes across as well as a bit of a company man, doesn't he?
Very much so, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to be bashing down the door demanding that the owners give him a war chest of money.
He'll get what he's given. It's one of them, isn't it?
But you know what? I mean, listen, he is committed, and I'm sure he knows his football. But I do have question marks against his tactical nous. And I have to say his man management to me is a little bit, we've seen the situations with Pepe, with Guendouzi, with Saliba. The captain at times has looked majorly pissed off. We know that there was issues with Lacazette. The Pepe, if I mentioned that already. Yeah, man. Don't know, man. Even the Joe Willock thing is, you know. What's your thoughts on that, Joe Willock?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe he might have been our best improved player.
Yeah, he might have, and he hasn't played for us.
So yeah, the jury's out, man. The jury's out. I mean, it's probably, I don't know if it's fair, but like, he will get another season to prove himself, and after that, there can be no, you know what I mean? If we get to, the season starts, and we get to November, December, and there's no tangible improvements, and I mean tangible, stuff that we can see in terms of results, form, player improvement, then I think his position's pretty much untenable for me.
Definitely.
But, you know, I can just about see why the owners will give him, you know, I mean, he'll have a transfer window, he'll have a bit more time, and he's been there a while now. And his predecessor won a trophy yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah, He's got to produce, man.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so the last award, well, it's not so much an award. I was just going to ask you what you thought your optimum team lineup for the season would have been, from 1 to 11. So what are you saying there? In goal?
Leno, obviously, in goal. Yeah, back four, I would go, I would probably go Tierney at left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cedric at right back. I think he did well. He had one bad game, got dropped, never seen him since.
Central defenders?
Central defence, yeah, I would see. I mean, I've just called Rob Holding the most overrated, so I'm not going to pick him.
Yeah.
Gabriel, he got Player of the Month 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a fall off.
He had a bit of a dip, didn't he?
But I do think he's a very good. I think he's got the most potential of any centre back at Arsenal with Saliba coming back.
He can be a bit rash at times, can he?
But I think he'll learn.
Yeah, I think that's part of his overall enthusiasm.
And then David Luiz, you've got to say, man, he's had a good season for Arsenal, man.
It's not. You know what? Looking back, he's only made 17 league appearances for Arsenal.
Yeah, he's been injured and
injured a lot, and then the manager's tried out different formations.
I think when he hasn't played, we've missed him. He can pass the ball better than any other centre back.
He's definitely our most talented centre back, even though he's getting on a bit and starting to get injured.
And obviously he left the club.
So I would go with those 4. Midfield area.
Midfield is Partey, Xhaka. That's the only 2 that's really worked.
An honourable mention for Mohamed El Messi, formerly known as El Neni.
El Neni. Danny Ceballos, the Kylie Minogue football, spinning around.
What happened to the gum shield?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that, man. So he's gone. And then...
Xhaka, I mean, I know you're not his biggest fan. What's your overall thoughts on it?
I actually think he's had his best season.
Yeah, you know what?
But I just want to make it clear, his best season
is
still below the benchmark. Yeah, we haven't touched Champions League since Xhaka signed for this club. We haven't been in the Champions League.
Yeah.
We need an upgrade on him. Get me a Basuma, an Aouar, somebody like that.
Well, there's talk about Basuma coming, so we'll see how that pans out. And then you've got to have Saka.
You've got to have Saka.
What about Odegaard? What's your thoughts on him?
No, I wouldn't have him in there. If you were naming a best 11, I wouldn't have him in it. I think Smith Rowe. Odegaard had a time where I was like, this guy looks like a baller. He had a little injury with Norway, came back, he looked lightweight. I think the problem with Odegaard for me is...
Could be Danny Ceballos syndrome.
Yeah, I want a number 10 that can score goals. I want someone who can shoot, who can cause problems, and I think... if they're talking 30, 40 million for Odegaard, I think you've got to really think about that. So I'll go Smith Rowe. Yeah. In the front 3, and then I would play. So we're going Saka, Smith Rowe, and I would go Pepe. I think the way Pepe's finished the season, I think you've got to put him on one of the wings because those numbers.
So what would you do with Lacazette? Because that only leaves one Lacazette or Aubameyang.
You've got to.
I mean, if I'm choosing my team...
I would pick Aubameyang as a player, but you've got to probably say Lacazette's had a better season.
Yeah, you would say.
So if you're going on this season, you've got to go Lacazette.
Yeah. No, that's why I had him down there, because although I'm Team Abba, but let's be honest, man, he's had a bit of a shocker.
Yeah. So for this season, Lacazette...
You've got to go on merit, innit?
Yeah, you've got to go on merit.
You can't be a fanboy all the time.
No, you don't.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put these awards that we've... handed out in the description box and in the comments, so to encourage let us know what you think. Should be an interesting exercise to see what you come up with. But listen, thanks for that, man, and thanks for coming down today, man.
No problem.
Truly appreciate you coming on the show today, live, in person, in the house. So no need for no long-winded introductions. The man's giving us the benefit of his time.
I was waiting for the intro, actually. That's actually why I came here. You know what I mean? I wanted to know what letter you was doing.
Oh, really?
Today.
Okay, maybe we'll do that next week. You know what I mean? But it was such a pleasure to have you down, man. That's all good, man. But yeah, man, listen, we come to the end of this week's show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've bought into the fun aspect of it. Listen, man, it's just a little bit of fun at the end of the season. And like I said, we'd be interested here to what you say on what we've said today. So listen, man. Tap in, man. Let us know what you think. And we thank again to Curtis for coming in. Please send us your comments. Really appreciate it. Smash the like button, share the video, man. Subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys next week. We're out.